are doing a microphone check. Can you guys hear me? Check, 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 check. Looks like we got the audio worked out. If you missed that intro, let me just break it down real quickly because if you guys didn't hear it, if it didn't go through, guys, I'm a little rusty back to the live episodes. It has been a while, guys, and I'm just glad to be back. It is good to be behind the camera with all of you, and it is just a phenomenal feeling to be back. It is just phenomenal. I don't know what to say. But anyway, guys, I don't want to waste any time. Let's get right to it. First thing we got to do, we got to give the shout outs. We got to do some things for those of you that are existing and for new subscribers. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Technoid12 so you could stay up to date with all the latest and greatest of the Technoid show. You will also be reminded of any uploads that come out. Also, a quick reminder, we want to give a big shout out to our affiliates. We want to start off with Rogue Energy. We want to thank them for taking a train on the Technoid Express. Head on over to rogueenergy.com. Use the promo code Technoid, save 10% off. Also want to give a shout out to Slate Chocolate Milk, the best protein packed lactose-free chocolate milk on the market. And the best part, they just recently partnered with the UFC. If you are a huge UFC fan like myself, head on over to slatemilk.com, use promo code Technoid. And then lastly, thank you to SuperX. SuperX makes the best workout gear money is going to buy you. I have been a huge advocate for any SuperX stuff. So guys, head on over. Check out the links in the description. Head on over to SuperX. Use the promo code on the screen. We are working to change that to Technoid. But anyway, guys, let's get right to it. Now, despite a few technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, because again, it's been a while since I've been live, and I do think I need to be back live more and more to iron out a lot of these bugs. So, guys, I promise I will be back to doing live episodes. But today, we're going to talk all about the Apple event. We're going to talk about what Apple debuted, and we're going to really talk about what I think of each of these products. And it's not really going to be a long episode. I'm not going to bore you. We're just going to go right to it. So the main topic of the show was the iPad. Now, for those of you that have not watched the event, or if you have watched the event, you already know that the iPads was the key center in this entire show. And that's exactly what happened at the Apple event. Now, I'm going to share you guys my screen. We're going to share everything, and we're also going to just take a little dive real quickly. And essentially, here we go. We got this popped up here. Let's get a full screen here. Again, guys, it's been a while, so excuse me if I am just a little bit out of it. And again, guys, it has been a while, so I apologize. But, okay, there we go. Now we got the bad boy rolling. So, as we were saying, the whole event was surrounded around the iPads. The iPads was the big main star of the show. Essentially, it was what we thought it was going to be. Oh, it looks like they've changed a lot of stuff here on since the last time I've used. Again, guys, bear with me. It's been a while. I apologize, guys. Again, this will not be like this. There we go. That's better. Now, taking a look at the iPad lineup, essentially, it has gone under a few changes, and specifically, we're going to talk about the iPad Pro, and the iPad Air. Now, in regards to the standard iPad, it didn't really get anything in terms of a hardware upgrade, but it did get a brand new price reduction. So now the starting price for the standard iPad now drops to $350, and with that being dropped, that also drops the 9th generation iPad. So there is no more iPad or any Apple product in the Apple lineup, with the exception of the MacBooks, to have a Touch ID and headphone jack on their products. So that's it for the iPads with headphone jacks. Taking a deeper dive, the biggest stars of the show was the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. Starting with the iPad Pro, that was the one where everybody, including myself, was the most excited for. This was the iPad we knew Apple was going to make, and they delivered it without question. Now, yes, it does have a new starting price. It is around the same price as an iPhone, and it kind of can do a lot more than the iPhone, given at its price point. So I would be almost considerable on letting the pricing slide, but essentially it is a brand new iPad, and the essential part of it is that it has new accessories, it's got a new display, it's got so many things going for it The starting price, once again, is $9.99. If you trade in, you can save some money. But the biggest changes is that it now features an OLED display. They are finally doing away with LED and LCD and Super Retina XDR displays. They are now going OLED, where they're calling it the Ultra XDR display. The naming scheme is very strong in this company. Taking a look at the specs, it has also got the M3 chip, and it is also working now. Actually, excuse me, it is the M4, because heaven only knows we need the M4 chip now. But taking a look at the hardware, it is really good. I think that the iPad Pro is by far one of the most powerful tablets that the market can buy you, and Apple has kind of really shown that. Not only is it the thinnest Apple device ever made, but it is also incredibly powerful. It has the best display on a tablet right now, at least according to the specs. And now with the M4 chip inside of the iPad Pro, it is now going to take the productivity to a whole new level. On top of that, it also comes in two new sizes, a redesigned 11-inch and a brand new 13-inch to stimulate very similar to the MacBook Air. And then lastly, to top it all off, it has brand new accessories. It has a brand new Apple Pencil, which they are dubbing the Apple Pencil Pro, because just why does a freaking pencil need the name Pro in it? And then, of course, the new Magic Keyboard. Now, the new Magic Keyboard is made of an aluminum chassis, so it is now all aluminum. It has very similar designs to the original Magic Keyboard that they released a couple years back, but this time it has function keys at the top, and it is also having a bigger trackpad. So now you actually have more of a Mac-like setup with the iPad Pro. Now, the thing is, of course, they are going to charge you a little bit extra for this, but can you really say that you are surprised at this point? The 13-inch is actually really cool. I, for one, though, will say this, guys. I am not the biggest fan of the iPad Pros anymore, and only because of one reason. I am finishing up with college. I am currently in my master's program, so I don't really even use my iPad Pro anymore as I once did. So I'm kind of doing away with the whole iPad Pro, and I'm kind of actually opting more into the mini iPad, which is one that I have religiously used over and over. And you know what's up, bruh? You know that that iPad Pro and that iPad mini is better, but the iPad mini is superior. But anyway, moving past that, the iPad Pros come in at $9.99, and again, you could get the 13-inch for $12.99. You could finance it for 12 months if you have the Apple Card, and if you trade in, you could also save yourself a heck load of money. Now that we've talked about the iPad Pro, let's take a look at the all-new iPad Air. Now, the iPad Air is actually one of the better iPads that Apple has made. It is the middle ground between the Pro and also the budget end, because on the one hand, you get the same features as the iPad Pro, but there are a few things that they do take back. There are a few things that they draw away, and there are some things that they do to distinguish it. But they also come in two configurations. It now comes in the 11 and 13-inch. It also has the M2 chip. It now has landscape front cameras, which is also present on the iPad Pro. And it also retains the $599 price point, whereas the iPad Air for the 13-inch is $200 more, coming in at $799. Very similar to the original iPad Pros before OLED made its way over. So, taking a look at the iPad lineup, it actually looks really good. Now, if you notice, there is one particular iPad that they didn't update, but don't worry, there is still talks that it is going to get its refresh, and that is the one that I will be getting once they release it, the iPad mini. Listen, I'm just going to say it, guys. I am a huge iPad mini fan. I love the mini size. I like the compact feeling of it. Obviously, I know it's not going to be the most powerful iPad in the lineup. I know that the iPad Air and the iPad Pro are better, but for my day-to-day task of content creation, watching videos, listening to music, doing my business, and reading the news on there, the iPad mini is the iPad that I'm going to go grab. If I'm going to go, okay, let's be real here. If we're going to the bathroom and you need something that's small and portable, you're probably going to take your phone and you're probably going to take your iPad, but you're not going to want to take the 13-inch. You want something smaller. So I really see purpose for the iPad mini, and it's a shame that they didn't even give it a spec refresh. At the very least, they should have considered doing that. I feel like the iPad mini is the one more neglected model, but it's nice to see that Apple is still including it and that they're still supporting it, because it is a good iPad. Again, they do have a lot of great features. It is a great device. It's an 8.3-inch display, but in my opinion, I really wish that they had updated the Bionic chip to the A16 or even to the A17, which the iPhone 15s have, because the price range of the iPad mini is around the same as all the other models in the lineup. But all in all, we'll see the iPad mini's refresh coming soon. It is reported it is still en route. Now, here's the thing, guys. What is my reaction to all of this? Now that I've talked about it, what do I think? Well, listen. I think that the iPad, for all the money, for all the intents purposes, is one of the best, if not the better devices that Apple makes. It is by far one of, if not Apple's best selling products. Now, again, market share numbers may say otherwise, but if we're taking a look at all time, if we're taking a look at what college students are getting, if we're taking a look at what consumers for children and parents and other devices, the iPad is exactly that. It is that device that you pick up that is the middle ground between the MacBook and the iPhone, where it doesn't have the bulk of a laptop, but it has the performance of a laptop and feels very similar to your phone. Now, over the years, Apple has made strides to really push the capability of the iPad Air, the iPad Pro, and surprisingly, even the iPad Mini. But here's the thing, guys. While I think the hardware is great, while I think the iPads have a great lineup in front of them, and while I do necessarily say and think that the iPads are some of the best devices, it doesn't matter. Now, you might be saying to yourself, what are you talking about? What do you mean it doesn't matter? It's got OLED. It's got the M4. It's got everything. Yeah, it's got everything, all right. But it doesn't have one thing that needs to make it better. Software. How many times have we sang this same song, ladies and gentlemen? How many times have we sang this same song over? iPadOS is so limited when in comparison to macOS in any way. Now, here's the thing. Apple for years has been pushing the iPad as a laptop replacement. Yes, they have added some more features. Yes, they now have SD storages. They have Final Cut Pro on the iPad. They have a lot. But the thing is, the software is still limited. Listen, I understand if Apple wants to keep it in that iPhone iPad hybrid. And real quickly, I want to give a shout out to Omar. Thank you for pulling by. Appreciate you watching. Here's the thing. The iPads need to take advantage of that hardware. Now, listen, I'm not expecting Apple products to be top-notch. Well, I take that back. They got to be top-notch. But the software needs to be able to take full advantage of the hardware. I don't think Apple has done enough with iPadOS to get to that point. Because if iPadOS was such a sustainable, feasible option for content creators, for creators as a whole, why are people still using MacBooks? Why are people still using the macOS software over the iPadOS when it comes to these applications? Yes, you can draw. Yes, you can do a lot of things. You can do so much. You can. But again, guys, again, I tell you, the iPadOS experience is more tailored for a mobile/desktop hybrid than a desktop hybrid. Now, is the solution to get macOS onto iPads? That would be awesome, but we know Apple's not going to do that. But if they really want to keep pushing iPadOS and make it that laptop replacement, if they want to really keep reinventing the wheel of the iPad, it has to be done in a way where it feels more like macOS than it does of iOS. And again, it starts with the icons. It starts with the design. It starts with the layout, app support, content creativity, etc., etc. Listen, I could go on and on here, but the point is, as great as these iPads are, the best one to buy, if you're a person that really doesn't care about productivity, if you don't care about anything that has to do with Apple Pencil, Magic Keyboard, or all that, but you just want an iPad that you'll pick up, play games, watch movies, music, your best bet is the cheap iPad for $350. If you want to spend a little extra more, you get the iPad Air. You get the iPad Air, you'll get the same features. Will you take advantage of it? Probably not. But if you're a general person, that's what you're going to levitate towards. Whereas the iPad mini is for those that want the smaller device, and then the pros are for the pro users. But here's the other thing. Look at this lineup. iPad Pro, iPad Air, iPad, iPad mini. Take a look at the Mac. MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. Do you notice something? The lineup is still confusing. This is a situation that Apple was in several years ago, which resulted in them discontinuing the iPad Air in favor of the cheaper iPad and then the iPad Pro. But here's the thing. We can't necessarily fault Apple for this lineup because there is an iPad for everyone. But the thing is that just like how the MacBook and the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro was confusing, I feel that this same situation is happening here. And there is a very simple, easy solution to solve this. And this is just my opinion. I think if you want to really simplify the iPad lineup to make it more easier for the consumer, I understand the budget option is a great way to go. But you want to keep that name iPad. So I'm thinking, drop the AirTag and just AirTag and just call the iPad Air iPad. Or just keep it as iPad Air. And then you call the iPad mini the iPad, make a budget option in the iPad Air lineup, combine it, so that way you have two separate lineups. You have the Pro, the Air, and then of course you can throw in the mini. Because 4 different iPads to the consumer eye, they're going to have to take time to figure out what they're going to want, what they're going to do. But again, I'm not saying this is a bad problem to have. As a matter of fact, this is a good problem to have. But if you want to simplify things, I just think combining the iPad and the iPad Air to make it one line, have it all merged together, and have a budget end version of the iPad Air, and then the premium iPad Air and the iPad Air 13-inch, that might be a way to go so you can get more people in and just condense the lineup so you have 3 models. You have the mini, iPad Air, and then the iPad Pro. And honestly, that's just my take. Now, again, I get it. They got to have the name iPad, so... But all in all, the event was pretty good. Now, I was a little disappointed before we wrap up that we didn't actually get to see any accessories come out. I was a little surprised, but we did actually get some new Beats headphones come out. They have the Beats Solo 4s, which I will be in the process of getting and reviewing, so stay tuned. Headphone reviews are coming back. And also, they dropped a brand new pair of earphones, which are simply titled the Beats Solo Buds, which, if we can find them, because I think they are trying to not necessarily hide them, but they are trying to keep this one a little bit because it's still not available yet. But somewhere on the website, if you guys are able to find it, as you can see, it's not popped up here. Essentially, they are an $80 pair of wireless earbuds. They're going to basically replace the Beats Flex, and they're going to give you the best battery life with just wireless earbuds, and the charging case has no battery. But the Solo 4s are much improved. We'll find that out when the time comes when I review it. But all in all, guys, that was the Apple iPad event. Now, again, I thought it was okay. I didn't really go crazy for it because I kind of already knew what it was. It was just iPads. Nothing really special. But I'm still holding out for the mini. I want that iPad mini refreshed with landscape camera mode and maybe a new processor, A17, or even maybe the M1 or M2, whatever the case is. My point is, the hardware is great. They make some great hardware. But the software is not there yet. Once they get the software down, then I think the iPads will definitely have a stake to claim for a laptop replacement. Until then, we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, that's it. That's it. That was it for the stream. Now, again, guys, before we end this video, there was a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning of the video, so I apologize if you couldn't hear the intro. I'm going to edit this one, so for those of you asking if you didn't see it, that's what happened. But again, guys, apologies for the technical difficulties. I really appreciate being back live, and I appreciate you guys watching. And for those watching on replay, hashtag the replay crew. But anyway, guys, it is good to be back behind this camera, and it's good to be back with all of you. I missed all of you interacting, and hopefully, as the summertime rolls around, we're going to have more live episodes. We're going to have more guests back on, and Sneed Level Tech will be back to his co-hosting duties. So, Sneed, my brother, Habibi, time to get back on the camera. But anyway, guys, have a good night. I hope you all enjoy yourselves. Let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think of the Apple event? What did you think of the iPads? And let me hear your thoughts down below. But anyway, guys, have a good night. Take care, and